that African boy.
Now listen. The law is now beyond argument that the effect of a nullification of a thing, not necessarily an election, the effect of nullification of a thing is to completely wipe out, obliterate, remove, undo, erase, or render it ineffective.
Why must Nigerians pay the crime that has been perpetrated by the cabal?
Everything. Imagine on the menu, and then I tell
yeah, I don't like anything that has to do with jazz. It's like,
come. You be like, say, hungry, never, why are you rich, Abby?
You know nothing about football, so there's no point arguing. Organize your cup and not do your body. This one not the couple.
Ah! Oh, well, see, baby, it's not my money, oh.
Between three nurses and a doctor, find out what matters in Clinic Matters.
And I wonder what someone like you is doing in such a noble profession where so much courtesy is required. Can you attend to this woman?
Because the nurse who has the pilot just gone into prepared temperature.
He's not planning to tell his wife until the other lady delivers. He's not heartless.
Is this our business if your husband impregnates another woman?
The only problem I have is with people making silly and grave mistakes, especially in marriage. You are a nurse and not a marriage counselor.
Africa Independent Television.
Africa Independent Television.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
Hello, good morning and welcome to Kaakaki on Africa Independent Television, AIT. I am Adora Oyeche.
And I am Senami Ukemohai. It is a rather wet morning in Abuja, the Nigerian capital. I'm sure you would want something warm to, you know, wake you up. Take an assurance from me. Today's edition of Kaakaki is packed full with items that will jazz you up. Welcome to the show.
You're jazzing me up. You know, I was saying to you that you look very much secretary.
I know. I hope I'm able to play the part this morning.
No, you are. Definitely. How was your weekend?
Oh, it was good. Restful. I enjoyed myself. At least for once, I'm not complaining that the weekend was short.
You better not do that. Oh, I guess let's warm your hearts with this latest development, especially for those of us who have had a tough time in the hands of GSM providers. action now.
Yeah, the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, is making good its promise on this program that it will no longer allow GSM providers satisfactory services.
Now, on Saturday, the NCC slammed a fine of 1.17 billion naira on 4 GSM providers for very poor services to their Nigerian customers.
The GSM providers, MTN, Etisalat, Airtel and Glo, are to pay the fine in the next 2 weeks, or they will cough out heavier sums for taking Nigerians for granted. But
Bravo.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing, but I think that money is not enough.
Really? How much are you going for?
You know, when we did our own maths as to what MTN took away from Nigerians the last time.
Each day, right?
Each day, you know, and it was almost about 600 billion naira, you know, from MTN alone. We didn't even calculate Etisalat or Glo or what other networks were doing. And well, I think it's just a slap on the wrist, and if they don't pay it, well, that will be
Oh, no, come on. When you have 4 people under the belt of the NCC, do you think they won't pay? And like they said, if they don't pay, they will cough out heavier songs. Please, you know what, I'm thinking that Nigerians will start, you know, faking like, I can't hear you. It's just my credit. And, you know, people start matching to NCC, but please do not make it hard on them. Well, still on the issues that we have raised on this show, you remember we had asked the Imo State government under which law it was running a 4th tier of government.
We informed you last week that the National Union of Local Government Employees, NULGE, that NULGE, had dragged the Imo State government to the Industrial Arbitration Court for insisting on deploying its members to community councils, a tier of government which is not known to the Nigerian Constitution or any law in Nigeria.
Well, the Imo State House of Assembly has now passed a community council bill, effectively creating a 4th tier of government in Imo State. Although
the passage of that bill last week Wednesday does not yet celebrate law for a 1st tier until the state governor Owele Roches Okorocha signs it into law. And I'm wondering, when he's left to sign it into law,
I think he very much will then. But even then, Tsunami, that will still amount to beginning from the end. You know what I mean? First, make the 4th tier operational, and then seek for a law to justify the action. You know.
Talking of acting before, you think?
Well, let's wait for the day the Imo State governor will sign the 4th tier government bill into law. For now, the Niger State government says it is determined to criminalize the refusal by parents and guardians to allow their wards to be immunized.
Wow. It's about time, because in that part of the country, in the northern part of the country, you find a lot of children living with polio, you know, vaccinate diseases that are avoided with vaccines and immunizations, and you wonder how can that be? And of course, culture still has something to do with this. I think before the Niger State governor starts criminalizing that, you know, he should first embark on an enlightenment campaign. Let these people be aware.
Let them be aware. You know, let them know what it is for.
Exactly. I recall some time ago, some women were made to believe that polio vaccines given to their children was to make their children eventually sterile when they grow older and be unable to give birth to other kids, because, well, they say that they believe that Nigeria believes that they are not into family planning. They're not planning their family properly. They have more children. They bear more kids than any other part of the country, and so they want to make them sterile. Unfortunately,
I think that the worry again, you know, remember the case of the Pfizer company being slammed with the, I think it's so you know, a lot of the indigenous in the north are frightened because they feel that some of the kids might just be used for guinea pigs, you know. And I think that aside from that fear, you know, a massive awareness, maybe by the United Nations, creating the dangers of not even immunizing your child, especially against ailments like meningitis, you know, which is really rampant in the north. So I believe that the government should first play the role of, you know, educating them, and then probably taking it.
I completely agree. I was tempted to ask why any parent or guardian would not allow his word to be immunized, but ignorance can be a big challenge. You know? Especially when ill-informed but highly placed people pass false information to the ignorant.
That's very true.
It's true. My worry is that every day these parents watch their beautiful children dry up on their knees. They cannot walk because unproductivity, and then they join the army of beggars, and yet they do not want to embrace immunization.
Well, I think that the Niger State government must be commended for stepping in to hold parents and guardians accountable. And I think that's the first step to actually want to get their ears and their attention.
Yes, you know? I agree with you. But do you know that the Premier of Northern Region worked to outlaw begging in northern Nigeria? Do you know that he encouraged immunization and sanitation in the north?
Well, I must wonder where these latter-day opponents of immunizations are getting their introduction from, because it worries me. You know, like you say, people pass false information, and these people are not learned. So whatever you tell them, they hold these things around.
You know, the system of governance, so to speak, in the north is that which everything they hear from their emirs, their enlightened, their elite group. For
even the midwives in their community alone is enough to brainwash them.
If you come and tell them, look, do not take this immunization, even without giving them a reason, they would adhere to it. So, well, you begin to wonder, you know, that's
or you
why
give them herbal, or they feel that's better.
And that's why I think that an enlightenment campaign
would be
also,
better, yeah.
You know, a good idea. Anyway, thank you, Niger State government. We're very proud of you. If you're able to criminalize refusal to support immunization, you would have set Niger State on the course of reducing reasons for begging in Nigeria.
Well, I don't really think criminalizing it is the way to go, because one thing is that whether you put them behind bars, you know, it doesn't change the fact that they don't know what they are about to do. So like I say, the first point of call for them is actually to educate them, create awareness, and actually bring them to the fore. I think the best thing is to have, like, you know, a tutorial or a video there, you know, before and afters. You know, like show a case of somebody who did not have immunization, and then show a case of somebody who did not have immunization and ended up without limbs, and then what it could cause them. And I think that, of course, like putting more beggars on the street, you know, reduces the potential for that economy as well, and, you know, makes them, you know, redundant.
But then again, you know, eventually, if after all said and done, there will still be people who
are stubborn enough.
So in that regard, then criminalizing it will be a good thing.
Okay. Well, okay, Senator, you must permit me to tell you something that is not quite pleasant, and I don't mean to spoil your day or your joy so early on Monday morning.
Well, you seem to be doing that already. Is there anything that I see and begin to issue blood? It can only the tears, not that not that the eye cannot be injured, but whatever. There's nothing new under the sun.
I like your spirit, you know, like faith. Now, well, I do not like losing thinkers and academics, because without them, society can never actually progress. Now, on Saturday morning, Nigeria lost one of the vice chancellors of his universities. Remember that?
A colleague of ours called me before 7 a.m. On Saturday to break the sad news of the death of the vice chancellor of the University of Lagos, Professor Tokumbo Shokoluwe.
Well,
he should die too early.
Yes. Well, he should have waited for Nigeria to reach his renaissance, but like they say, God knows best. Well, the man was said to have died of heart attack, and he was aged just 62 years old.
That's why I said he died too early. I'm sure he still has a lot to offer. The man was first rushed to the university clinic, but when his condition got worse, he was taken to the teaching hospital where he died.
He even received adequate medical attention, and yet he died. Now, Funami, imagine how many other ordinary Nigerians who have died since medical doctors in the service of Lagos State government began their strike over 3 weeks ago.
You remember this program, we said that as the doctors keep on going on strike, their private clinics get busier because patients who should go to the government hospitals are forced to patronize their private clinics.
Well, the Lagos State government has called the bluff of the doctors who seem to enjoy trade unionism more than medical practice. Now, the government has sacked all the doctors, began ejecting them from the doctors' quarters, and is employing over 300 new doctors to take over the post of the sacked strike-hungry doctors.
What do you think of that, Adora? Evacuating them from the doctors' quarters?
Well, I think that probably they must know what's coming to them. And like you say, most of them have private clinics. And many of them perhaps may not even be living in those quarters. So you can imagine when they go there and they don't find people. But just imagine that they were living there. I think they would have some, realization, some truth to actually be born in them, because I think it's insensitive.
Yeah, I think it's time that they're pushed a little, because, well, for me, the lives are supposed to take care of and save comes first.
Well, the sack of the doctors is a talking point in our interview segment, and the other regular segments, cover stories, special features, Villa Diary, health tips with Adama, and Sports Extra are all on the bill to spice up your morning. But before we take off for the world news, let's take you on the news headlines.
Thanks for staying with us. The National Orientation Agency, NOA, and the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency are collaborating to mobilize Nigerians at the grassroots to maximize the use of the primary healthcare in the various communities. At the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding MOU in Abuja, the Executive Director of the National Healthcare Development Agency, Ado Mohammed, says the need to mobilize Nigerians adequately into claiming ownership of the National Primary Healthcare Scheme prompted the new initiative. A candidate in the upcoming poll for a constituent assembly, Khaled Abu Saleh, was murdered in Libya's southern desert on Sunday shortly after submitting his resignation. Deputy Chairman of the High Security Commission, Mohammed Saleh, said Saleh was murdered 30 kilometers from Ubari in the south of Libya. Security officials said 2 people traveling with Khaled Abu Saleh in the car were able to flee, adding that an investigation was underway. Greek President Karoulos Papadoulias has held talks with leaders of the country's smaller parties on forming a coalition averting new elections. Consultations earlier Sunday with leaders of the 3 biggest parties failed when Alexis Tsipras of the radical left Syriza rejected any deal. Syriza also clashed with a fourth party seen as a coalition partner. Both the center-right New Democracy and the Socialist PASOK have so far been unable to form a new coalition. Germany have suggested that Chancellor Angela Merkel, conservatives, have suffered heavy losses in an election in the country's most populous state. Support for the Christian Democrats dropped from 35% to 26% in North Rhine-Westphalia, with the Social Democrats set to return to power with the Greens. It is the Christian Democrats' worst result in the state. Analysts say many voters rejected Merkel's tough lines on fiscal discipline as a cure for state debts. Protesters came back in Puerta del Sol Square in the Spanish capital Madrid after they were evicted by police. Police moved into the square at about 4 a.m. on Sunday morning after protesters ignored the midnight deadline to disperse, making 18 arrests. But later on Sunday, the square reopened and hundreds of protesters moved back in, shouting slogans such as "We are not all here, 18 are missing, and we won't pay for your crisis." Top Afghan negotiator Maulvi Rahmani was shot dead by gunmen as he sat in traffic. Police said the killers pulled up alongside his car in another vehicle. Friend of Rahmani, Najibullah Habibaya, condemned the killers and says those who did this are the enemy of Afghanistan, enemy of peace and enemy of Islam. The Taliban denied involvement in Rahman's death and said his death will not harm peace talks because the Peace Council had so far achieved nothing. A suicide bomber blew himself up next to an Iraqi police checkpoint in western Baghdad on Sunday, killing 1 policeman and wounding 4 people. The blast took place in Mansour district of western Baghdad. Witnesses said the bombers were hearing an explosive belt. This did not confirm. Mexican authorities found the dismembered bodies of 37 people stuffed into bags and dumped on the highway near the northern industrial city of Monterrey in what appeared to be part of a string of brutal drug gang killings. Most national dailies reported that the bodies were found in the early hours of Sunday on a highway, sparking a large deployment of local state to the scene. Flood caused by heavy rain on Sunday killed at least 4 people, 2 of them children, in a district of Georgia's capital, Tbilisi. Emergency workers evacuated dozens of people from houses affected by landslides and flooding. The rain caused landslides and the overflow of usually tiny streams flowing into the river Vari, which runs through the capital. Those were the news headlines. Kaakaki continues in a moment.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
Hey, welcome back. This is Kaakaki, the African voice. So now, just before you check that news headline, I'm sure you know Zuma, President, South African president, taking a 4th wife, and this is going to make it his 6th wedding and 2 divorces ever since he started. I'm just wondering, with someone like that, he probably will definitely be keeping warm this period. But a lot of people wonder, what's with all the wives and, incredible.
First of all, the first question I asked was, is Zuma a Muslim? Because I know...
He's from Zulu. He has the Zulu blood.
Exactly. And that was my conclusion. Okay, the Zulu man is an African man. They take as many wives as they want. And probably his forefathers or his grandfather probably had up to 25 wives. So he's probably just starting.
The
South Africans, they worry. How is it going to
they don't. I think they're all lining up in tow. Because when I saw the picture of the wife, her name is Ngema. And, the way she was smiling, and all the daughters of, President Zuma, they were all gallantly dressed and looking very, my father's taking a new wife, okay.
I don't know how I feel about that, really, if I was Zuma's daughter.
And all the other wives are all looking very happy about it.
You're right, Adora. Don't put 2 women or 3 or even talk about 4 women in the same room at the same time. You wouldn't like what will happen. I think most men now know that most men who keep more than 1 wife know that it's better they all have their own houses, their own space, and their own things.
But it still has its ups and downs, though. But Zuma seems to be taking it nicely, because 6 weddings, gosh. Well, congratulations all the same. Now let's get over to today's Villa Diary. Today's edition of Villa Diary focuses on the workshop targeted at removing the stumbling block to Nigeria's stable electricity supply.
Major stakeholders gathered at the magnificent banquet hall of the presidential Villa Abuja to discuss a way out of the embarrassing electricity supply in the country.
Well, let's see what they bring us and see how it works out.
With the workshop targeted at removing the stumbling block to Nigeria's stable electricity supply, major stakeholders have gathered at the magnificent banquet hall of the presidential villa in Abuja to discuss a way out of the embarrassing epileptic power supply in the country. At the end of deliberation, the president noted that there was no going back by government in its resolve to privatize the power sector.
And of course, to now summarize the key issues that we must consider very critically is the issue of privatization, which the DP must follow strictly their program. We didn't want to hear any story again they must follow it to the letter, keep faith with the date. If you make mistake, you're on your own, and we'll deal with it decisively.
It was also allocation that the president gave the hint that electricity tariff must go up on June 1. In fact, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission got a knock for not doing enough to create awareness. For the president, the lack of awareness was responsible for the near anarchy that reared its ugly head early in the year when government attempted to completely remove subsidy from premium motor spirit, commonly called petrol.
I'm not sure that we are having robust advocacy. And this happened to me when the governors, like luckily Governor Rivers State is here, all agreed about the deregulation. And so look, we have not informed Nigeria. In fact, at the time, I said I wanted to send a team to the states to work with the governors. I think Governor Benue then suggested that no, if we do that, there will be conflicts in some states. So the governors will take charge. At the end of the day, by the day we announced the deregulation, almost everything was on my head. I'm coming amazing. I'm not saying you did not support, you supported. Everything was Jonathan.
That workshop on removing barriers to efficient power sector turned out to be the major assignment of the president, as he had to keep a date with other heads of government in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for the African Union Summit. Vice President Namadi Sambo was in the saddle as he presided over the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting on Wednesday. One of the decisions reached at the meeting was the purchase of 2 boats for the Nigerian Customs Service to fight across the border smugglers.
Smugglers are actually affecting the development of our manufacturing sector, because we need to really ensure that our manufacturers get the market. And also, the activities in the oil and gas sector is being affected by the activities of not only smugglers but also pirates and so many other economic saboteurs.
All the customs service to maintain all the existing boats that they have in their arsenal, which are about 60, 55 of which are actually in active service in our waterways and creeks.
Major highways like the Owerri-Umuahia Road also came to focus, while contract for the construction of 2 bridges at the Ekpere-Agenebode Road was also awarded.
This road has been awarded and has finished. The construction of the road finished in 2010, but the 2 bridges were not part of the original scope of the contract, and that affects the optimum utilization of the road.
The National Economic Council, made up of some ministers, state governors, and heads of some government agencies, endorsed the new price regime for electricity. 50 billion naira was also provided as subsidy for the poor, a form of safety net, you would say.
With what we approved today, there's going to be a decrease and increase. There will be a decrease for the low users and the poor people within the cities and the rural areas. And there will be increase for the higher users. But in the end, nobody is going to invest like they're investing in Ghana, in Chad, everywhere, unless we do something. Because if you're a businessman and you're being asked to put money where you're going to lose money, you're not going to do it.
Vice President Namadi Sambo was not done yet until Friday, when he hosted traditional rulers, state governors and educationists at the villa to find a way out of the Hydra-headed Almajiri phenomenon.
It was statistically realized that the poor and destitute who cannot afford even basic education abound in all parts of the country. This realization gave rise to this forum, which is aimed at providing us with the opportunity to affirm our support to this program with pragmatic action plan to tackle this challenge with a view to securing the future of our youth and our country.
Until next week, when a new compilation of Villa Dial comes your way, I remain Anoyoyo Ogiagobi. Please stay tuned as Kaakaki continues.
All right, I do hope you enjoyed that diary from the Villa by Anayoyo Ogegbuyoge. Thanks for joining us if you've just joined us. It's time now to bring you our cover story for today, and Adora is standing by to bring us the details.
You know what really interests me about that Villa diary episode is President Jonathan saying, "You put it on my head, everything Jonathan."
The first time I saw that video, I laughed my head off, and I guess he's learned a lesson. At least he knows now that when he wants to make a decision, he should probably make it all by himself, so that when he takes the blame,
he was also saying, we should inform Nigerians first. So he's thinking first.
He's very proactive now.
All right, well, time for our cover story this morning. As the target date of 2015 for reaching the Millennium Development Goal draws closer, many African countries still face challenges in the different sectors. The health sector is one such area of daunting challenges. The problem of lack of access to medical services compounds the challenge of endemic malaria, waterborne disease, tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS, which afflict many people in Africa. Now, the situation is worse in the rural communities, which does not even have access and do not even have access roads, and where over 70% of the population leave one African country. Ethiopia seems to have found a way round joint of these challenges through a unique health extension program. The correspondent O.C. Elama tells the story of the Ethiopian Health Initiative in this cover story. Let's see how they do it.
The rural areas, where majority of the populations of developing countries live. Conditions in rural dwellings are almost always the same. Lack of roads, electricity, pipe-borne water, and decent housing. Quality education and health care are difficult to come by, and poverty is rife. These conditions always expose rural dwellers to preventable diseases, including malaria, tuberculosis, and all forms of childhood illnesses. In most developing countries, the absence of basic amenities makes healthcare delivery an uphill task. This also jeopardizes the attainment of the health targets of the Millennium Development Goals. However, one country which seems to have found a way around the challenges of healthcare delivery, especially in its vast rural areas, is Ethiopia. In 2003, the landlocked country located in the Horn of Africa introduced a health extension program aimed at bringing health care to the rural areas and reducing the high rate of maternal and child morbidity and deaths. Under the program, health posts were created in every rural community of between 3,000 and 5,000 people. Health extension workers were engaged, trained, and sent back home to man the health posts, and the results have been remarkable.
1990, where the MDG baseline started, it was 1,040 deaths per 100,000. This is maternal deaths. Now we're, according to recent WHO estimate, it's 470 per 100,000. So the reduction is more than 55% the last 20 years.
Ethiopia has the second largest population after Nigeria on the African continent, with 85.2 million people, of which 77.3 million live in the rural areas. Before the health extension program was initiated in 2003, Ethiopia was one of the 57 countries in the world with an acute shortage of health workers. The reason why Ethiopians, especially those in the rural areas, died needlessly from preventable diseases. For instance, 60 women died daily from complications arising from childbirth.
One of the issues that we've had in Africa, and indeed in most developing parts of the world, is that access to care is not guaranteed. And because, the posts are so far away from people, they tend not to go.
34,000 health extension workers have been trained so far by the government with help from UNICEF. 15,000 health posts have also been set up throughout the country.
We work with the community in this Woroda. The district has 40 rural cabals. And in these 14 rural kabalas, we do have 19 health extension workers, and these health extension workers are distributed to each kabale, each district, and they are working with the community. And they are trying to change the lifestyle of the community.
To ensure the success of the program, the government had to embark on a massive provision of basic amenities, including access roads, electricity, telecommunications, and potable water.
You know, one of the delays in, during delivery, when they seek assistance of skilled, assistance is the distance from home to health facility. So there should be good road and transport system in order to bring the mother to the health institution on time. So it's really helping a lot, and Ethiopia is really progressing well in terms of, fast expansion of roads and other infrastructures.
With these in place, getting trained workers to live in their rural communities became easier. The program has attracted the attention of the United Nations, which recommends it for other African countries which want to meet the health targets of the MDGs.
This may look like a very elementary level of sanitation and medical support, but they are the first line lifesavers, and I'm very much grateful.
The health extension program is a deliberate shift of Ethiopian government's attention from curative public health care to promotive, preventive, and selective curative services.
I'm very much encouraged by what the Ethiopian government is doing. I'd like to again discuss this matter with the world leaders, traditional donors, so that they can encourage this sanitation and health service.
With just 4 years to the 2015 deadline for the MDGs, it has become imperative for developing countries to find innovative ways of meeting the targets.
Oh, that was an interesting one.
Yes, it is.
And I think Nigeria should take cue from that as well.
Nigeria has a lot to do when it comes to, achieving the Millennium Development Goals. Anyway, we're going to Togo now. Models and fashion designers seized the opportunity of the Elima Festival, which is Togo's international fashion show, to showcase their art in fashion designing. What, however, sets this particular fashion parade aside is that unlike others that are held in five-star hotels and theaters, this event was held on the streets of Lomé in Togo. Fascinating. Let's take a look.
On the streets of Lomé, Togo's capital city, models took to the unusual stage in a bid to bring high-end fashion to a wider audience. This was during the Elima Festival, which is Togo's international fashion show. Elima means the sun in Kobe language, which is spoken on the northern parts of Togo. The organizer, Togolese designer Linda Aweso, decided to go against the norm by holding a fashion show on the street pavement.
Everyone always complains that fashion is exclusive, that it is reserved for the rich, and people tell me that I would like to take part in your show, but I don't have an invitation. I don't have money to pay for a ticket, so this festival is free, and the priority is to take it to the people in the street. I think that since it's the first time for this, it's been a success.
The festival attracted many people who got a chance to view the clothes at a closer range.
I like it. It makes me really happy, and that's what we want.
The models enjoyed parading on the unconventional catwalk.
It is great. It is really great, and the first time in Togo. It's a good idea to have this Elima festival here in Togo. We must mobilize all the country for the success of this festival.
The 3-day show created a forum for over 50 designers across the continent to showcase their collection.
I have to say that this is the first time in my life. Normally, fashion shows are organized in 5-star hotels and target VIP. But I'm very happy to show my collection on the street.
Linda has faith in Africa fashion and hopes that this festival will inspire more African designers to work together.
Africa's fashion has a good place. I hope that nothing will stop us, and we will go ahead because we work together and we love our people from different countries. People who come here are very motivated, and they will do this in their countries. We are all enthusiasts.
At night, a stage was set up outside the Congress Palace of Lome, and the audience enjoyed a colorful show under the sky. To make things even more exciting, the organizers moved it to the beach on the third day for a breezy swim. The designs featured unique traditional fabrics and patterns. Sophisticated evening wear included adorning outfits for expectant women.
La mode africaine a beaucoup mûri.
African fashion has matured a lot and is attempting to industrialize to become commercial all over the world. And that is what we are addressing right now.
Elima's outdoor theme seems to be a catchy trend in Africa this year. Organizers at the Johannesburg Fashion Week turned the iconic Mandela Bridge into a walkway. Local designer David Slale paraded 92 models on the bridge as a tribute to former South African President Nelson Mandela, who is 92 years old.
It was a perfect venue, perfect people, fabulous place, so it was cool.
African designers have big plans underway and are determined to grow the fashion industry.
We are not Dior, but we have our own Dior and our Yves Saint Laurent. We need help to push us ahead, and that help is just an encouragement and support. I think, as they say, every great home has somebody who works on it. Ours is ready, and we must grow. And we need our leaders and all those who love fashion to wear powerful designs that they are proud of.
With the first quarter of the calendar already full and behind them, African designers are confident that upcoming events will propel them onto the international platform, where they will leave a mark and grow their earnings.
There's no way I cannot talk about that fashion show. That was fascinating. You know?
I think you love the orange shirt, and you're already making moves to make one and do high-waist trouser.
Just seeing the new, a new twist to fashion designing and having a model strut on the streets.
Yeah, interesting. And they have very fine designs as well.
I concur. You were saying that a lot of times, a lot of designs you see on the runway, is not, most of the time, are not wearable. But this
everyday life.
Everyday life, yes. But a lot of these ones are quite wearable. I could see myself in one of
Well, you know what really interested me was, the type of models that they had, the different shapes and different sizes. So it almost looked like models. Yeah, it was like a celebration of all kinds of body types, but it was really interesting.
Yes, very interesting. Really Way to go, Togo. Way to go. All right, natural resources are nature's gift to man. They are there to complement man's physical efforts in the task of exploring to full capacity his environment. In Africa, however, these resources seem to be a mixed blessing, so to say. The discovery of a precious natural resource in an African state tends to take the attention of others, which could be equal commercial value?
Now, this is simply because of the immediate economic gains of such a resource. This trend has left a few people in such African states who have access to these resources very rich at the expense of the majority who end up living in penury. Well, in this special feature, we take you to Mali, where gold mining has taken over farming.
The sound of a machine sifting sand fills the air in Dabale, Mali. For the last 9 years, the area has become a mining hub. To small-scale miners, this is their only source of income. Before gold is extracted, miners have to go through the tedious processes of getting through the dugout. Today, Musa Keita is hopeful that his efforts will pay off.
Our work is not easy at all. First, we have to dig the shaft into the soil once we arrive about 30 meters deep, where the soil is moist. From there, we dig a tunnel into the moist soil. We then use wood to stabilize the tunnel, because if this is not well done, it might cave in.
Mali is Africa's third largest gold producing country after Ghana and South Africa. Small-scale mining accounts for 10% of the total country output. The mining sector is informal, and there is no reliable data available on the number of laborers working in the gold mines. However, there is great concern for the miners who work in deplorable conditions and earn meager incomes.
The price of gold goes up and down, and we get the actual price from our dealers in Bamako. Since I'm in the business, the price varies between 12,000 and 18,000 CFA francs per gram.
Mali exports 90% of its gold. This leaves it in short supply for the local market, while also driving the prices to unaffordable levels.
In the past times, I could work up to 1 kilogram of gold per month, but nowadays it's very little. These days, the women come and want their old gold with them.
The country is one of the poorest in the world, with the average worker earning approximately $1,500 annually. 80% of workers are employed in the agricultural sector, with 15% in the service sector. With gold prices on the rise, farmers have abandoned agriculture for gold mining. This has led to a decline in agricultural produce.
The government has decided that they have to stop mining during the rainy season and do cultivation. This is the direction where the government wants to raise the awareness.
But for most laborers, mining is a more profitable venture than agriculture.
Our problem is that the authorities will close the sites during the rainy season. But how can you expect a miner to go back to farming when he is able to gain the value of 10 or 20 bags of grain in one lucky day?
Idrissa Kamara has been working in the mining site since 1976 and now has his own business. Idrissa buys up gravel and sand that the miners are not able to exploit.
I take my equipment to the mining sites and I buy the gravel from the miners. I crush the gravel with my grinding mill and roast the gold from the powder. Sometimes I sell the gold powder to local dealers. Otherwise, I take it to Bamako and get it melted in blocks for sale.
Yakuba Keita, who is Musa's colleague, is all smiles as he will not go home empty-handed.
I'm happy because I found some gold.
For now, small-scale miners in Dabale will continue their search for this precious metal, hoping that someday they will strike it rich.
All right. Just pointing to you there. Fantastic. But I think, gold mining, that's something about finding, something that is really dominant. Like we have oil. We've forgotten about agriculture. Slowly coming back to that era. And so I think it's the same thing is happening in Mali.
I agree with you. And at this point, it's fair to say that we should learn to explore all natural resources available to us and not concentrate on just one, so that on every facet of the economy, the country is growing.
Yes, definitely. And like they say, gold mining is taking over farming, but I hope Mali doesn't get to that era. But first, let's stop digging gold and dig health. Good morning, Adama.
Good morning, ladies.
You look very well this morning.
Thank you.
You look rested.
That's a lovely dress. I like the
thank you. Adora says I look like a secretary.
French secretary.
A French secretary.
Maybe a stewardess, a flight attendant.
So I think I'll stick with a French secretary. How was your weekend? You look rested.
Oh,
very
well. Thank you. I did try to rest, but as always, the weekend was short. I wish the weekend could be elongated. And when you make that face, you make sometimes, or when you started and all that, I started saying, oh my God, I hope Sanami is not suffering from what I'm talking about today.
Oh my God.
You know what that is? What's that? You know what that is?
No.
Okay, let me say hi to my people. And
okay, I'm waiting.
Good morning out there. I hope you had a good night rest, and I hope you look rested like me, as the ladies say. And I hope you're having a good morning, trying to get ready and go to work. Today, I'm talking about something that maybe a lot of people experience it. Some transient, some on a regular basis. Some are regular customers and go to this bank every other day or every month or every now and then. I'm talking about migraine. A migraine headache can cause an intense throbbing or pulsing in one area of the head, and it's commonly accompanied by nausea, vomiting, and extreme sensitivity to light and sound. And then migraine attacks can cause significant pain for hours to days and be so severe that all you can think of is, finding a quiet, dark place and lie down, and sometimes say, I just want my head to explode and leave me alone. And then some migraines are preceded or accompanied by sensory warning symptoms, which is aura, such as flashes of light and blind spots or tingling in your arms or legs. Medications can help reduce the frequency and severity of migraines. If treatment has not worked for you in the past, talk to your doctor about trying a different migraine headache medication. The right medicines combined with self-help remedies and lifestyle changes may make a tremendous difference. Now, migraine headaches often begin in childhood, adolescence, or early adulthood. And migraines may progress through 4 stages. That is the prodrome, the aura, the attack, sounds like a soldier attacking, and postdrome. Though you may not experience all the stages, or you may experience one stage or the other at a time. Now, let's look at prodrome. Prodrome 1 or 2. Prodrome 1 or 2 days before a migraine, you may notice subtle changes that may signify that an oncoming migraine is coming, and those symptoms would include constipation, you can become depressed, you can have diarrhea, you can have food cravings, you can have hyperactivity, irritability, and neck stiffness. Sometimes I have the neck stiffness and my neck is so stiff I can't move. And then there's aura. Most people experience migraine headaches without aura. And auras usually are visual but can also be sensory, motor, or verbal disturbances. Each of the symptoms typically begins gradually, builds up over several minutes, and then commonly lasts for 10 to 30 minutes. Let me give you some examples of aura. They include visual phenomena, such as seeing various shapes, bright lights, or flashes of light. And this could be one of the explanations for people who sight alien spaceships, UFOs. You can have vision loss, you can have pins and needle sensation in an arm or leg, you can have speech or language problems. Less commonly, an aura may be associated with aphasia or limb weakness, which is hemiplegic migraine. Now let's look at attack. When untreated, a migraine typically lasts from 4 to 72 hours, but the frequency with which headaches occur varies from person to person. You may have migraine several times a month or less frequently, and during a migraine you may experience some of the following symptoms. So listen very carefully. I go through the symptoms. Pain on one side of your head, pain that has a pulsating, throbbing quality, like boop, 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 as if your heart is beating, you know. Oh my God, oh my God. Quality, sensitivity to light and sounds, and sometimes even to smells. Nausea and vomiting, blurred vision, diarrhea, lightheadedness, sometimes followed by fainting. Let's look at postdrome. Postdrome is the final phase of migraine, and it occurs after a migraine attack, when you may feel drained and washed out. And though some people report feeling mildly euphoric, mildly euphoric, well, when to see a doctor would be something to consider next. And then you should know that migraine headaches are often undiagnosed and untreated. If you regularly experience signs and symptoms of migraine attacks, keep a record of your attacks and how you treated them. Then see your doctor to discuss your headaches and decide on the treatment plan for yourself. Even if you have a history of headaches, see your doctor anyways, especially if the pattern changes or the headaches suddenly feel different. And then see your doctor immediately or go to the emergency room if you have any of the following signs and symptoms which may indicate other more serious medical problems. And this would be an abrupt severe headache, like a thunderclap. Just go, sorry to startle you. Headache with fever, stiff neck, rash, mental confusion, seizures, double vision, weakness, numbness, or trouble speaking. You know, when Tenami was stuttering a bit, and we said, oh my God, I hope she's not having a migraine and she's having trouble speaking. Headache after a head injury. I know she'll have a lot to say after this, but for now I'm protected by talking to you, especially if the headache gets worse. A chronic headache that is worse after coughing, exertion, straining, or a sudden movement, and then a new headache pain if you're older than 50. Although much about the cause of migraine isn't understood, genetics and environmental factors maybe I have a migraine now myself, seem to play a role. Migraines may be caused by changes in the brainstem and its interactions with the trigeminal nerve, a major pain pathway. Imbalances in brain chemicals, including serotonin, which helps regulate pain in your nervous system, may also be involved. Now, serotonin levels drop during migraine attacks, and this may trigger your trigeminal system to release substances called neuropeptides, which travel to your brain's outer covering, the meninges. The result is headache pain. So now you understand a little bit about pain. I'll come back tomorrow and I'll continue with that. But for now, let's see together what the meal of the day is about. Meal of the day. Dear Adama, your message was received with thanks. After taking medication from my doctor, my BP dropped to 160. It gives me concern. Please, is it okay with my age at 49? And this came from Hamzat. Hamzat, I really must be having a migraine. I want to go back to bed. Hamzat and I have had a to and fro. And first of all, he had high BP, and then he went to see a doctor. Now it's this level, and he wants to know if it's okay. Well, Hamzat, what you should know, like I told you, is that there's a level, there's a way in treating hypertension. You get it down when it's high, and then you stabilize it and keep it from dropping too low. So I think at this time you should really go and talk to your doctor. So maybe your dosage of medication will be reduced to keep you stabilized and maintain the blood pressure. 160 is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but you don't want your blood pressure to drop too low to a level that would not be good for you. And 49, well, you still have many, many years to go. Don't worry, Hamza. You will be okay. And I guess I'm sure you're a very hot 49-year-old man. I'm sure, even though I haven't seen. I don't know. Why are you giggling? Okay, now you've interrupted my show. Why are you giggling? Can you tell me, please? Can you tell me? I don't know. Have you ever received a slap that gave you a migraine?
Okay, Adama. Like you said, yes, I do have a few questions. Okay, I have a few headaches sometimes, some headaches, you know, and it's mostly when I feel a little stressed. After some rest, it always disappears. Yeah. Sometimes I I don't have to take any medication. I just have to lie there in bed, take a nap, close my eyes and sleep, and I'll feel a lot better. But I dare say that there are times, like I said, when I'm stressed that I think I might be having a light migraine.
Have you ever been diagnosed of migraine?
No. Well, following your definition of migraine this morning and symptoms, I think that's why I said light.
Okay.
Light.
If you have one or two symptoms, it doesn't mean that it's migraine. You mentioned quite a lot of things. So if you have like diarrhea or two things and the blurring vision.
Oh, if you're having a headache and you're having those symptoms, you definitely should go and see a doctor because you really don't know what could be the underlying causes and all that. So it's a good idea too. But if like tsunami, you're stressed and all that, you can maybe have to take some painkillers or just rest. Just drink something warm. Yeah, you don't really have to. So you can just take a good rest and then you'll be fine.
All right, Adam, I can hear the director shouting. It's top of the
Yeah. Let me run away and leave you alone. And Adora, stop being naughty or else you'll get a migraine. Cut see this hands. See you tomorrow.
All right, Adam, nice to have you.
At the top of the hour, and of course, you know what we'll bring you next is Inside Nigeria.
Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to the Monday edition of Kaakaki, the African Voice. The National Orientation Agency, NOA, and the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency are collaborating to mobilize Nigerians at the grassroots to maximize the use of the primary healthcare in the various communities. At the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, in Abuja, the Executive Director of the National Healthcare Development Agency, Ado Muhammad, says the need to mobilize Nigerians adequately into claiming ownership of the National Primary Healthcare Scheme prompted the new initiative. The Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Michael Mary, urged other government agencies to always build partnerships in order to deliver. The Acting Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar, has ordered a ban on the indiscriminate use of sirens, revolving lights, tinted glasses and special police number plates across the country. A release signed by Deputy Force Public Relations Officer Frank Mba says the order has become necessary in view of recent security reports which indicate that suspected criminals now hide under the cover of official privileges and courtesies to commit crimes. The police reassured the public of the commitment of the force to the provision of round-the-clock security for the nation. It enjoined the public to continue to support and assist the police in its constitutional task of safeguarding the country. With the rise of terrorism, kidnapping and related violent crimes, which is already threatening national unity and progress with no viable solution in sight, various security agencies in Nigeria have been urged to cooperate with one another to find a lasting solution to these ugly trends. The National Commandant's Peace Corps of Nigeria, Dixon Ako, gave the message at the passing out parade of cadets from Katsina and Kaduna in Kefi, Nasarawa State.
They have to open their doors to everybody because worldwide, security of life and property is a collective responsibility.
Ako argued that the fight against terrorism will not succeed with the use of arms only, but says with meaningful engagement of these youths, the battle will be won.
Violence or terrorism, they are youth like us. You understand me? With proper monitoring, proper orientation, I want to assure you that these youth, the moment you pull them off the street, will have less cases of insecurity in our country.
The country needs to identify the problems we are facing that is leading to this insecurity in this country. The number one thing is not meaningfully engaging Nigerian youth. Because when Nigerian youths are so loose and they don't have anything to do, people can woo them through any means to start doing what supposed not to do.
It has the newly commissioned cadets to be polite and friendly in discharging their duties. Chairman Senate Committee on Women Affairs, Social and Youth Development, Helen Eswene, is advocating citizenship and leadership training for Nigerian youths. Speaking in Lagos when the committee made an oversight visit to the state, Eswene said the move will help in checking the growing youth restiveness and violence in the country.
What the government can do, the government is already doing something. The security operatives security issues have been really beefed up. That is why if you observe, they are not targeting institutions as they started off before. The last one was a marketplace, you know. And it is very, very worrisome. It's like as you try to solve it in this segment, it now rears its head, ugly head in another segment. But every Nigerian, everybody is worried about it. And both the legislative and the executive, everybody is putting heads together on.
The need for the establishment of more citizenship training centers and the proper funding of existing ones to carry out the task of reorientating the youth was also suggested.
Somebody passing through this place can never imagine going to be suicide bomber or armed robber, for example, because this training received from here will inculcate in you the spirit of brotherhood and one spirit and self-confidence, self-reliance in yourself and your God. So it is a battle for all, including the media.
By the demand and nature of central training programs, most of the units are located on difficult terrain, and so demand high costs to maintain them in terms of running both utility vehicles where they exist, repair and maintenance of buildings, training gadgets, etc. Today, none of the units or the headquarters have a 15 administrative office. So are the units lacking in utility vehicles, both modern training and learning equipment. While some of these obligations are met under current conditions, many more are left unsatisfied or studied unattended to. This is certainly a worrisome situation that has affected the funding of centers vertically, and so the staff and urgent attention.
Eswene further revealed that the committee is pushing a bill that will promulgate stiffer penalties for rapists. President Jonathan has described late Professor Tokumbo Shufuluwe as an accomplished academic who contributed immensely to the field of computer science in general. The President, in a condolence message to the family of Professor Shufuluwe, also lauded the administrative acumen of the late 12th Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, especially in the area of information technology. A statement by President Jonathan's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity expressed hope that his successors will build on the worthy legacies of late Professor Shufuluwe. President Jonathan, however, expressed regrets that Professor Shufuluwe's expertise will be greatly missed, especially at a time that university administrators are faced with the daunting challenge of making the nation's universities true citadel of learning. President of the Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, Amidu Megari, says an international friendly match will be played in honor of the late Nigerian goal poacher Rashidi Yekini. The match will be played in Ilorin between the Super Eagles and a foreign team yet to be determined. NFF President Megari disclosed this at the 8th-day remembrance prayer in honor of the fallen football star. Rashidi Yekini died on Monday 4th and was buried the following day according to Islamic rites. The gate takings of the proposed friendly will be donated to his family. That's Inside Nigeria. Kaakaki continues in a moment. When we come back, it will be time for our interview segment. Stay with us.
suspense-filled, educative, and entertaining. The Burning Fish.
Come on, let's go.
Nowhere. It's just a bunch of prejudices about the different communities, but nothing substantial about the cause of the conflict.
It is becoming expensive to have you there.
If it was you that lost your brother, would you do it?
Family ties, a thorn in the flesh.
To be seeing my daughter every day is not small money.
The doctor, when he's concerned,
my pocket is never afraid. Oh, well, I will do everything. And then I sure.
This guy, yeah, I don't like anything that has to do with jazz. It's like, come. You be like, hungry, never, why are you rich, Abby?
You know nothing about football, so there's no point asking. Organizer, come and do your body. This is not the problem.
Oh, well, see, baby, it's not my money.
Between 3 nurses and a doctor, find out what matters in Clinic Matters.
And I wonder what someone like you is doing with such a noble profession where so much coffee is required. Can you attend to this woman?
Because the nurse who has the pilot just gone into prepare to take her temperature. He's not planning to tell his wife until the other lady delivers. It's not heartless. Is this our business if your husband impregnates another woman? The only problem I have is with people making silly and grave mistakes, especially in marriage. You are a nurse and not a marriage counselor.
The jealous man that doesn't like sharing some of my personal effects with anybody.
Women are not regarded as personal effects. Flirting time is over.
Enemy of progress.
If my husband comes and say, make I no work, I go quickly fine.
Yeah?
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
A very good morning to you. This is Kaakaki, the African voice, and if you're just joining us, it's a wonderful, wonderful Monday morning, and I'm sure Tsunami would agree with me.
Yes, it's a cool Monday morning. You know, I like cold weathers and healthy body more than anything else. A healthy body.
And cold weather make you sleep and don't want to come to work. And you say, no, I wish I didn't get to work this morning.
Yeah, I did wish that this morning, but hey, it's all good. I'm here and I'm glad that I was able to make it to work.
You know, I was watching that special feature and I was talking about leadership and, youth training and how, when you go through that training, it puts in you the spirit of oneness, the spirit of, self-reliance, and anybody who goes through it will not think of bombing or, being a terrorist. But I wonder, after that training, what next? Do they empower them? Do they give them skill acquisition? Do they give them a source of employment that will actually generate the self-will to actually do something other than, being a bad example in society?
Yes, I think so, of course. That's why a training like that will be put in place. Otherwise, there will be no point to it. Adora, today we're talking health.
Yeah,
and
yes,
we have guests waiting in our Lagos studio.
Definitely. So let's just get into it. So, last week, the Lagos State government sacked 778 doctors in its service.
The sack of the doctors was the climax of an industrial dispute between the doctors and the state government.
Well, the doctors in Lagos State government hospitals had gone on a 3-day warning strike over their demand for a pay rise and subsequently went on indefinite strike, a move that adversely affected medical services in Lagos State hospitals.
The Lagos State government complained that the doctors had embarked on the warning strike without following laid-down civil regulations and ordered the doctors to return to work while following the rules to make their demands.
It appeared that the umbrella union of the doctors had resolved on the warning strike and would not be persuaded to rescind it.
At the end of the 3-day strike, the Lagos State government issued query to the doctors and ordered them to appear before a disciplinary panel set up by the state government.
Well, in reaction, the doctors went on a fully blown strike and spawned efforts by the Lagos State House of Assembly to resolve the crisis.
In response, the Lagos State government sacked the doctors and has employed 373 new doctors to replace the striking ones.
Of course, the situation creates a shortfall in the number of experienced doctors in the employ of Lagos State, and it also raises worries about how mindful governments are about the welfare of their workers. But more critically is the issue of who should or should not make strike the first opinion and option in any industrial dispute. Now, the sack of the Lagos doctors is the issue in focus in our interview this morning, and joining us from our Lagos studio we have Dr. Fabu Ile Francis, State Executive Council member, Lagos Nigerian Medical Association. Good morning, Doctor, and welcome to Kaakaki this morning. We'll have Reverend Sunday Okundalaye, social analyst and clergyman, also going to be joining us on the show this morning. We would have had the Lagos State Council coming, but they're having a meeting this morning. They
have a council
meeting this morning to join us.
The representative will join us on this topic today.
So let's kickstart the show. You're welcome. You're welcome all the way from Lagos. We welcome you. This is Kaakaki, the African voice. So let's shoot.
Yeah, gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to Kaakaki. The topic, of course, as you know, we're looking at the strike embarked upon by the doctors under the employment of the Lagos State government. The National Body of Medical Doctors in the Public Service, the Nigerian Medical Association, is holding a press conference this Monday on the sack of the doctors by the Lagos State government. What should be the attitude of the national body to the situation in Lagos, considering that there has been a back and forth, so to speak, situation, and now the Lagos State government finally came to the decision of sacking 700 plus doctors. What should be the situation and the attitude this morning?
First of all, say that the national president of the Nigerian Medical Association, Dr. Samuel Naplezi, has come to meet the governor and is trying as much as possible to see how we can resolve the impact. I really need to give some explanation because it seems as if the new agitation is a new salary increment. No, it was agitation that the agreement that the Lagos State officials freely had with the doctors back in 2011 March has not been obeyed, has been breached, and that is why the doctors had gone back to tell them, look, we have to get this agreement you freely signed with us, and that was what culminated in warning strike. And it is important for us to also know that that warning strike was from the earlier suspended strike following the agreement, and once the agreement was not there, was not followed to the latter, that was the reason why they drew attention for that to that agreement to be signed and to be properly executed. And as it is, I'm very sure that many people know that the national president is in Lagos. He has been here since Thursday. He has met with the governor of Lagos State once, and I know that they are still trying to see how we can work together and see that a good response or result come out of the situation on the ground.
the doctors are not asking for a new rise in salary, rather the implementation of the agreement of the old one, which was agreed upon in March 2011. What I'd like to know, however, is what did the government give a time frame for which this new increment will take effect?
From January 2011, and they have been doing some form of modified payment, and the Lagos Medical Gate has been discussing with them several letters had been written, and apart from that, several meetings had been on, and there has not been a change by the officials of the state government. And it is imperative for us to know that the doctors that are claimed to have been sacked are not young doctors. Majorly, they are consultants, and consultants are specialist doctors. We have very, very experienced old professors who were given sack letters, and it is important that we cannot afford to put our life in the hands of people who are not that experienced. And well, the underlying thing we can just say is that the earlier we can get all this problem behind us, the better. Other states had this problem. They had agreement with their workers, and they paid. Why is Lagos having this coming for a strike today, coming for another one strike today, tomorrow? And I think this is a strike too many, in which both parties must agree to end the feud, and both parties must agree to follow what has been freely accepted as the agreement or what they are going to work upon.
Contribution. Now, I want to ask Reverend Sunday, considering that you're one of the people who actually experienced some of the effects of the doctors going on strike. Now, seeing that this feud, of course, is still ongoing, and, it affected the healthcare system in Lagos State, how would you say this affects, healthcare delivery in that polity, in the community? How has it affected the healthcare system?
Well, it is very, very pathetic that this is happening in our time. If we consider really what democracy is, if we say it is government or the people by the people, then where are we caring for our people? We had the impact or the defect on our members in the community. Now that doctors are on strike, though we know that the wages of workers are due for them, but the doctors should be considerate of the life of people also. As at the time of this strike, there are a lot of accidents on the road. There are people who are sick. There are people who have nothing to even care for themselves. Or if this still continues, we'll be losing many people in the society. Then, at the long run, the blame will still come onto them because they are meant to kill and not to kill.
Actually said that the wages of every worker is due to him. How do you think that the government and the doctors can actually find a balance to this problem?
Negotiation, roundtable discussion, and the doctor has said it. He has said it in his speech that discussion was going on. They should please exercise patience and let us settle EU amicably. On this note, we know, yes, he said that there are people, states have embarked on strike due to what they are asking for, and they have reached a compromise. Then they should also, maybe if there are any issues within them, at the end of the state service in Lagos State, they should please sit down amicably, resolve things, and consider the life of people who are dying every day.
Next question is to you. Most of the time when doctors go on strike, other health workers also, it's a chain. There are nurses, there are non-medical staff. Everyone seems to also want an increase after the doctors have asked for their own increase. Don't you think that this would also affect healthcare delivery generally, and everyone will be on the line asking for increase.
As it may, the doctors are not against any member of the health team to have their own wage if it is legitimate. The wage we are talking about is comments that have been accepted, that have been passed since 2010. And if, as it is now in 2012, we are still discussing it, it seems there's something wrong. And what is fundamentally wrong is that if you come to equity, must actually come with clean hands. And in coming to clean hands, we have had roundtable discussion, we have had a lot of perspiration, we have come down to have some papers written, and we have agreed. What is holding this state from making sure that what you have agreed is put on paper and you do it? Doctors are not meant to be distracted, because the job they are doing are jobs that is basically to save life and to make sure that lives are well kept. I find it very difficult to understand why you say doctors are to treat and doctors are not okay. There is no doctor who is killing. In fact, a doctor who is not stable, a doctor who is seeing a patient and he cannot concentrate, maybe for other reasons, I'm not happy at work, I have problem with the working environment, are doctors who are actually very, very difficult to give a good treatment. It's good for us and for the public also to tell this government, come out fully. You want to give this to the doctor, tell them, sign it and do it. It's not as if today you say you are doing this and tomorrow you are doing something different. Let me tell you, for instance, the doctors' salary wages all over the country was put on paper in the daily newspaper. Well, that is good. And the Lagos state government actually put those comments level for level, step for step. And he was presenting it to the public as if they are paying the whole money level for level, and step for step. We make bold to tell them, look, if you are doing this, say you are doing this. What they are doing basically is totally different from what was written there. Most doctors were being placed on maybe step 1 and step 2. And this is different from what comments is. And this is what the Lagos state government has agreed with the medical field, the doctors in its workforce, to make sure that they have full comments. So I think if we want to shift blame, though the blames will come on both, because yes, life is being lost, but at least we say when two equity are equal, the first one takes the precedence. The Lagos state government has agreed, they have signed an agreement, and they have said that the doctors in their health services will not be disadvantaged compared to the other health sector. And let me tell you, these doctors that you are talking are the doctors who takes care of the 15 million number of people in Lagos state. So it's a stress, and it's a lot of responsibility. And it is good for the two of them to resume negotiation as soon as possible and to resolve it in the interest of peace of the general people of Lagos state.
Still come back to you, Reverend Sunday, please just hold on a little while. Now, with regard to what you have just said about, doctors being distracted and whether they should be allowed to do their job or not, I'll take you back to records here, and I'll draw your attention to the pay structure, of course, of doctors before the Fashola administration came to power. Now, the least paid doctor used to earn 242,931 naira 80 kobo per month. Now today a doctor earns 439,566 naira 50 kobo currently. Now the highest ranking doctor used to also earn 391,553 naira 98 kobo, but now earns well over 641 naira 248 naira 17 kobo. Now when you're looking at that figure and you're talking about the facts and the figures on papers and not what is being transmitted or translated into the live payment of these doctors. However, looking at the figures, which averagely, Sanam, you would agree with me, it's quite a good pay package for any medical. Well, according to what I'm told and how I've analyzed the statistics, it's enough to take home. So what exactly are the doctors asking for, again, with this sort of statistics and pay package being drawn to par?
I thank you for giving us the details of what doctors are taking. At least Lagos State government has opened it up for everybody, and it's good. The truth is that what does the national salaries and wage, what do they fix for the doctor? In the comments is the national minimum wage, and what the Lagos State government is paying is still below the national minimum wage. Should we say that a fellow doctor who works in Lagos University Teaching Hospital who earns 10 naira, and the same doctor, the same rank, who works even more because we service more people, well, that is hypothetical, but it is assumed that we service more people. And if you come to the hospital, you see the number of people coming daily. And the same doctor, the same level, cadre for cadre, is earning 7 naira. Apart from this, it is good for us to know that in some instances, we have some small states, Ekiti State for example, is paying the full comments. Nobody is asking Lagos State government to put 10 kobo extra on what the national salary and wages has put in place in comments for medical doctor, which is supposed to be universal, to have universal acceptability. We think that Lagos State government should know that the pressure on their medical professionals may be more than the others, and should put a little bit. But even Lagos State is not doing that. Lagos State should be able to pay what is on ground. Let me tell you, what we are talking about, this fixing this salary, is not a local thing. It's not as if when we have national minimum wage, every state demands that you must get to that baseline. Some other states paid higher, and it is not Lagos State who has had that discussion, and the national salary and wages has given us that bar. So it is not a new thing that we're asking, and at any rate, every salary increment must have a raise from what we used to collect and to where we are. At the time, the minimum wage in Nigeria was 6,500, 7,500. Today, it is about 18,000, 16,000. So we want to say, yes, it is good. How well can you say that the petroleum, the petrol or the fuel price has increased over this time? How well can you talk about the issue of a house rent and other things? It is important that a doctor should not be distracted. It is important that a doctor should be fully engaged in what is done, what is being done. There is no half-measure treatment. There is no half-way doing this thing. So it is good for the doctors to be satisfied, and the comment, that is the consolidated medical salary.
Dr. Fabili, I'm sorry, I'll have to hold you on the frame of thought, because I'm thinking you're talking about doctors, getting, it's not a bad thing for them to get an increment in salary, which I totally agree. Everyone wants an increment in salary. But my question to you is it possible at any point that the Lagos State government have told you that they cannot pay what you are asking for at this point in time? Because, like you have rightly noted, the pay package of doctors in Lagos State is in the front burner. Everyone now knows it, and everyone is thinking, I think this is a fair package. So what if the Lagos State government cannot afford to pay the doctors more than the doctors are asking for? What then will happen? Are they going to down tools again?
employed doctors will not down to if Lagos they can come out and then they can pay the minimum wage for doctors. It's different from you saying you are paying comments and you are not paying comments. And that is what the disease that the doctors are crying loud that look, you are not paying this comment, and Lagos is paying this comment because the basis of putting that figure on the dailies is to tell people that they are paying it. They are not paying it. What they are paying is different from what they are put on grant. We have some consultants who are supposed to be on level 16.5, 16.7, we have some on 17, and what they are paying them is far, far less than what they have put on that place. So let Lagos State government come out and say, look, we are not paying comments, we are paying so. And that is another basis of negotiation. But you must also know that every employer association should have a negotiation. It is unfortunate that it's only in Nigeria that we have at the time somebody came out and said, well, this is what so put in my footage. We did not have any reason, we did not discuss with him, and we have to take it. But the normal democracy which ACN government is preaching, that we should have freedom to have an employer-employee discussion in such a way that we fix what is the wages. Lagos State government should come out outrightly and say they are not paying comments. Let the Lagosian know and let us know who is speaking the truth.
Thank you for that. I like what you said. You said it looks like what I think even Tsunami will agree with me that you're saying that what the Lagos State government has put on paper is not actually what is being transcended in the real life. So if they're saying they are paying 600 and something thousand naira to the highest doctor, the highest end in the medical field, in actual sense they might be paying not maybe a little less than they seem to be paying on paper. Or even
maybe
more.
There's a process for the
yes, there's a process for the okay. I'm going over to Reverend Sunday now. Now, considering what doctor has said, and you are for life and saving life, and the doctors being sensitive. Now, like the doctor has also said, there shouldn't be any distraction to any medical practitioner. But still, let's call a spade a spade. If this is what is actually happening, what do you think? Do you think that the doctors overreacted?
In the first instance, the doctor said that I was talking about being dead, not life. My comment was that if you go on strike and you are bound to heal some people in the hospital and you are not around, definitely nobody will care for those ones. We've been to the hospitals where nurses will say doctors were not on sick. We've been to hospitals whereby doctors will give us prescription, sending us to their own personal and private hospitals outside that of the state government. Therefore, that was why I said that in the first instance. I have just, in my own opinion, one, as a man of God, two, as a person also who have, we look at the Bible says we should be contented in little we have. If everybody goes on strike through whatever we were being paid, nobody will work in Nigeria. We are in AIT now. Can they compare what they are handling to what others are handling? Can chefs compare what they are handling to what a lawyer is handling? Can a clergyman compare what they are handling? In fact, their own is stipend, meager. Therefore, my own opinion, the doctors in Lagos State, they have overreacted to us because they are not considering us as a mass.
We'll have our phone lines open 097809 477 097809 477. Please call and give us your contributions.
All right, Dr. Fabili, the ball is back in your court again. You had Reverend Sunday and what he said. Of course, there are accusations that no matter what the doctors were paid, they will always ask for more and will always refer patients to their own private hospitals. In this regard, what's your own what's your reaction? Because a lot of people have said that they insist on this strike so they can, because they know that no matter what, they will make their money and make more money for themselves from their private clinics. And that sounds selfish, don't you think?
And let me say one thing. If Jesus Christ could have 12 disciples, and out of that disciple will have someone who sold him out. There is no way that you have a doctor of 1,000 And you know how one or two who may not actually go by what the dictates of the job is. So it is important, if you have a doctor who has done that, report him and let the NMA, let the state government, let them deal with that doctor. But I think it is very wrong for someone to have a blanket statement that all doctors refer people to private hospital. I've seen pastors who will see you on the road, who will talk to you and will say, come to Bible Living Church, and will give the address of the church. We cannot use that and say, okay, all pastors are now diverting patients to their different churches. I think it's rather unfortunate and it's unfair, because we have so many doctors who do not have a private hospital that refer patients to. And apart from that, let's look at the statistics. The average statistics of doctors to patient ratio, doctors to patient ratios has an internationally accepted level. In Nigeria, we have one doctor to maybe 200,000. And it is rather unfortunate that if we want the doctor to go and rest, pay me my money, let me go and rest, there is no way that within that period you can take care of all the people. It is the pressure of even the populace that have made these doctors to even work beyond their normal time. There is nobody who is satisfied, who wants to work forever. So it is
rather... We have a caller from Lagos. Bello from Lagos. Good morning, Bello. Good morning, Bello. Please reduce the volume of your television set for us to hear you loud and clear. Good morning. Bello, good morning. May we have your contributions? We can't quite
Bello, obviously the volume of your TV set is up, so do us a favor, turn it down and then give us your contributions.
I do not really agree with doctors totally. Because, like the gentleman I said, they are selfish, they are callous, they are greedy. I cannot imagine a doctor earning over 600,000, let's even say over 300,000, let's not even talk about 600,000. And yet, the people going to strike, people dying? That is highly sensitive. Take for example, these medical doctors, just like he has rightly said, have hospitals outside these government hospitals. Yet, sending us to that place, giving us references to these hospitals, we go there, still give them the same money, come back to the hospitals, do everything, collect this money from left, right, and yet don't put human life into consideration. Fundamental human rights is okay, you can fight for your rights, but there are some certain things you don't do. When it comes to human life, you don't just go to strike because you are demanding for a fair life. Just like, what about teachers? Are they saying they are more important than teachers? Or lawyers?
Thank you, Bello from Lagos. Thank you for that. And Dr. Fabi, you heard Bello, and he's saying that he is not in support of what you're saying. Actually, that is insensitive for doctors to go on strike. And still, he concurs that most of these doctors do have private clinics where people go to and they demand money for treatment. But, you know, you have said that most of the doctors don't. But I think a frame of thought of a lot of people, and the question would be, isn't it unethical for a medical practitioner to work outside his jurisdiction, especially when he's been mandated to work at a certain zone, especially a hospital, for instance, a national hospital?
Standing between the government, the doctor, and the patient. And if I want to say at the time that the doctor who is in the government hospital should be asking what is weight from the patient. It is assumed and it is accepted that it is the government who will pay that. Secondly, it is good for us to also know that if the pay package of a doctor is poor, let's assume it's poor and cannot take the doctor home, what we are fearing that, okay, they take people to their private hospital, which is grossly and generally untrue. What we are saying is that you are also going to say, let that continue. It is a thing in which And what we are saying, nobody is asking for pay rights, and nobody is saying pay more than what has been accepted by the Nigerian government at its highest level. Secondly, back to your question, it is unethical for a doctor to work in a private place during the official period. Official period 8 to 4, and when you are on call duty. Apart from this, the Nigerian government has given the doctor to have some form of consultation outside this time as a private consultation. So it is not as if that you see a doctor who should be in the hospital at the official government time that should be in the hospital. If you have that, report that and let us deal with that. It is unfortunate for you to just generalize. People who are forthright to their job are in the hospital and they sit at their job, they sit at their duty post, and I have so many people that I have met, that have interacted within this that do everything they have to do in their place. So it's wrong. Sometimes you may have one or two cases in which the patient is enthusiastic to do one or two things, to do some maneuvering, and if that is the case, and you see a doctor who has asked you to come to do, report such person and let that person got the necessary punishment for doing that.
Next line of thought for me is where do you draw the line? What would happen now? What if the Lagos State government insists that they're not going to pay the pay package that you're asking for? But before you answer that question, Emmanuel is calling us from Lagos. Emmanuel, good morning. Hello, Emmanuel.
Hello.
Good morning, Emmanuel. May we have your contributions, please?
Can hear you. Hello.
Morning, we can hear you, Emmanuel. Just go ahead with your contribution.
Hello.
So turn down the volume of your TV set.
Hello.
Emmanuel, it seems like you can't hear us, but we can hear you loud and clear. So if you can hear me, just go ahead.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you there.
All right, I don't think Emmanuel can hear us.
All right. Okay, apologize for that.
Back to Dr. Fabile. Dr. Fabile, I did ask before Emmanuel's call, what if the Lagos State government says that they will not pay the package that the doctors, Lagos State doctors are asking for? What next?
The next line of action is if the government comes out, they say this is what is paying. But it is good enough for us to say that what one is saying is not what that is on paper. If you say you are paying full comments, pay full comments. If you are saying you are not, you cannot afford full comments, state the reason and let the whole Lagosians know. And it is important for us to also know that it is we. If I'm sick, I patronize that hospital. If my wife is sick, she patronizes the hospital. But we have those people who are in this high level, who are discussing, who are doing this negotiation when they are sick, when their families are sick. They are not coming to those places. They have much more money to go and do their treatment abroad. But let me tell you one, Posa, it is important and imperative that the whole populace should know that most of the time they go out to UK or to US, who they find are Nigerian doctors. Many times we talk about brain drain. Many times we talk about not having adequate treatment. Many times you talk about not having the requisite specialists. Now you are chasing those specialists out. And we have cases in which, let's assume, we have less than 10 neurosurgeons in Nigeria. 2 of them, or about 3 of them, are in Lagos State, and they have been given letter. Everywhere in the world, neurosurgeons are in their need. We have some people who are coming, we have some of them who have been given juicy offer. You say, look, Take it away. The next time you have people who have accidents who need this neurosurgeon consultation, it should be difficult, and at the end of the day, it is we, the public, that will suffer for it. I think it's good for us to let us sit down. Let us see where the problem is. Let us know how to go about the problem. And let the Lagos State government be bold enough to come and say, this is the situation. This is what I can do, and this is what I can't do. And I think at that rate, everybody will be clear. But it's not saying this and doing this. And doing this.
Doctor, Reverend Sunday, you've heard what the doctor has said. He said with this sack, of course, a lot of the professionals and the old hands that they have in the industry will start looking outward and traveling, of course, and getting jobs where they are in dire need. Now, you know, Reverend, you have said that it's insensitive for the doctors to go on strike. However, what will be your advice to the Lagos State government, considering that one of the people or some of the experts who are known for their field might be maybe we're about to lose them, and of course it will take another, you know, maybe century to get such people back in the institute, considering we have 10 neurosurgeons and only 2 in Lagos State. So what's your take on that, Reverend?
All right.
Say that we do appreciate, the work of our leadership in Lagos State. We've seen a lot being done by the governor, and we want to appeal to him. If he says he loves us and he loves the masses, he should please yarn to the tones of the doctors. I read on Saturday Sun that they went to him and he directed them to the head of the service. And on that note, the meeting was at deadlock. Our governor should please come to our aid. Look at what we are passing through. Self-medication is not good for us. It kills us. If we have our expert, like the doctor said, who will care for us, who will prescribe for us, then who will attend to us at time of our need, they will be happier than this. That's my candid advice.
We actually did have a caller from Delta State. Please call us back. We're just about to take that frame of thought. I go back to Dr. Fabili, and I'm sure that that's the mind of a lot of people. Now, if you're saying that the pay package that the government have proposed for the doctors is not actually what they are paying, and you know, like as against what Senna also said, that you know, what if that the government doesn't come forth with the payment as agreed, what would happen to the doctors? Now, let's look at the rights to hire and to fire. You know, if the doctors have the rights to go on strike, isn't it also understandable? Yes, understandable by the government to actually fire and hire whom they please?
You have that right. What has happened was that after had several letters that have been written waiting for them to call them to negotiation. The state government was foot dragging, and I said, okay, let us draw our attention. They have 3-day warning strike. And the next thing, lo and behold, if you want to have a resolution, the next resolution is, look, come, what is it? Let us sit down. We have been paying you this. Why? And that is what the doctors have asked. Come to negotiation. Let us conclude this agreement. But the next thing you do was to query. The first query, before 2 days, within 2 days, 2 queries have come. Within 1 week, they say come and face the disciplinary committee or disciplinary panel. Those line of actions are that are not in a way to say we want a resolution. From this, they did the sack. After the sack, they say they are still open for negotiation. And the next thing they are doing is to start going to the individual residence of the doctor and forcefully chasing them out. I think this is high-handedness in its entirety. Even the military government, we still have some restraint in doing such things. What the government has done is to show that they have a bullish attitude to all this negotiation, they want to force it that, look, they are there, but look, either you win, or the doctors win, or the doctors win. Each way, we have some people who are suffering. The most important thing is, come to negotiation, come out. If you say you are going to pay 10 kobo, come out, let the public know you are paying 10 kobo. A variance with what? The national minimum wage is. We have some other professionals in this Lagos State who are paid higher than what the minimum wage is. It shows where the interest of the government is. Nobody is asking for anything extra. What we are saying, pay so amount and let everybody work. We have some states, they went for strike for 2-3 days. They had agreement. They gave them and they signed it and they started enjoying it. They have not gone to strike again. Doctors are not interested in going to strike. Doctors are not interested in being distracted. Give them their work and let them stay in their hospital and take care of this patient. And that is the most important thing, I think, the way the Lagos State is looking. We have professors of 35 years, even more than that, who are being sacked, and these people are just at the background. They are not the ones who are engaging this government. They are the ones who say, look, this is what you have said. They have seen the whole thing. So it's really sad when you have some people who have been fed some not so true information, and they are taking their position. I want to appeal to the public. It is we who need those places to work. It is not them. Them, you see, I give them 3 months. They will say they have gone outside for one clinical medical. Let them stay here and let them face what you are facing. But we are sitting here, you are saying, throw away the baby with the back.
We have Emeka calling us from Abuja. Emeka, good morning.
Let us.
Hello?
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Good morning. Let's have
Hello?
an introduction.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, my name is Emeka. Okay. I feel strongly that what the doctors are doing is the doctors are very selfish. They are very greedy. They have been going up. They are the professionals that go on strike most in this country. I just came back from Lagos. I lost a cousin. And what was the problem? She had complications of ectopic pregnancy, and there was no doctor to treat her in the hospital. And the poor young lady died. There are more civilized ways to agitate for your rights. The doctors have the privilege and the right to go to court. There are other ways they can draw attention. They have done this strike too many times that they have lost our sympathy. The man is playing on our sympathy by saying, in fact, I support Lagos State Governor for ejecting them from their premises. Because if you look at what is going on in this country, everybody every day wants to go on strike. No, people who work for government, admittedly, the salary is poor. But it's not only doctor salaries that are poor. So why should they keep punishing us in this country by strike every day they go on strike, every day they go on strike? Tomorrow NMA will threaten to go on strike. Now the whole NMA is threatening that.
Thank you very much.
Because of what is happening in Lagos State, the whole NMA all over the country wants to go on strike.
Thank you, Emeka.
They're not the only professionals.
We can take. I'd like to just say something to Dr. Fadrile. Just before we leave, Doctor, you did talk about having a lot of Nigerian doctors work abroad and all of that. And I am thinking, where they work, when they leave the shores of Nigeria and they go out of the country to work, I want to believe that the work... you know, they work by rules, they work by the standards and by the regulations, and they don't go on strike incessantly. I'm coming from the point of view that probably the Lagos State government has had it up to here with the demands of the doctors, and that's why they've taken this hard stance this time. So maybe it's now left for the doctors to pedal down a little and see how they can accommodate the issue, how they can accommodate the shortfalls of the Lagos State government. Just briefly, because we've got to go.
Thank you. Yes, in those places, in those clients, you can't go on strike. And it is because there are agreements, and both agreements are kept. The employee keeps his own agreement, the employer keeps his own agreement. But where those agreements are not kept, we have people who go on strike. We have so many countries in which the health personnel will want to go on strike, and they'll say, look, wait, the civil society, other members of the population say, look, we do it for you. But in this case in Nigeria is now becoming one where you have to fight for your own right. I thank Emeka, who said that his sister had ectopic and died. I want to say that we have some doctors who were also sick during this period and they have died. And so because we don't have all these people on ground. So it's not limited to the
population. But I wonder if you're saying that that system.
I find it difficult to believe
that doctors have died at all. Well, like they say, doctors are actually employed to save lives, and I think that most importantly that should come first. However, people are entitled to their own point of view. Thank you, Dr. Fabiola Francis, State Executive Council member, Lagos, Nigeria Medical Association. Thank you for coming and being on the show on Kaakaki this morning. And also thank you, Reverend Sunday Okundalaye, social analyst and clergyman. Thank you so much for joining us on Kaakaki this morning. Well, we definitely have come to the top of the hour, and definitely we will be going on a break. And when we come back, it's time for us to go to Pan Africa. Stay with us.
Thanks for staying with us. A candidate in the upcoming poll for a constituent assembly, Khaled Abdusali, was murdered in Libya's southern desert on Sunday shortly after submitting his registration. Deputy Chairman of the High Security Commission, Mohamed Saleh, said Saleh was murdered 30 kilometers from Ubari in the south of Libya. Security officials said 2 people traveling with Khaled Abu Saleh in the car were able to flee, adding that an investigation was underway. A senior commander in the rebel Lord's Resistance Army, Caesar Achelam, has been captured by the Ugandan army. Achelam was seized following a struggle between Ugandan soldiers and a group of 30 rebels. The commander, whom Uganda officials say is a top rebel military strategist, was captured in the Central African Republic, one of several nations where the Ugandan-led LRA operates. The Lebanese army on Sunday deployed officers heavily in Tripoli to diffuse tension after clashes between Sunni and Alawite militants living in neighboring districts killed 3 people. Witnesses said intermittent gunfire were heard, but the fighting later subsided. Security officials said the fighting erupted overnight in the Lebanese city of Tripoli between members of the Alawite minority loyal to Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and members of the Sunni majority. Israeli ambassador to Nigeria, Moshe Ram, says one way Nigeria can tackle its security challenges is for its citizens to be vigilant at all times. Moshe was speaking in Abuja at a prayer session to celebrate the State of Israel at 64 by Christians United for Israel prayer outreach. The primate of the Church of The Primate of the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, Nicholas Oko, used the event to task Nigerian leaders to remain purposeful and focus on generating positive ideas for enduring transformation. The Acting Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Abubakar, has ordered a ban on the indiscriminate use of sirens, revolving lights, tinted glasses, and special police number plates across the country. A release signed by Deputy Force Public Relations Officer Frank Mba says the order has become necessary in view of recent security reports which indicate that suspected criminals now hide under the cover of official privileges and cutthroats to commit crimes. That's Inside Nigeria. Kaakaki continues in a moment. When we come back, it will be time for newspaper reviews. You don't want to miss that. Stay with us.
Budgeting. Questions such as, do we need an NMPC in the first place, must be asked. My view, we don't.
He is the field officer. He has the responsibility to ensure all operations regarding arrest and all that is conducted in the usual manner.
Engaging emerging topical issues in
the mere fact that we pay for 24 million liters of petrol on a daily basis, which is not is shocking. And I think by now people should be resigning their appointment.
It wants to be a business, but it has become another arm of government, and it's also suffering from the malaise that has bedeviled government in Nigeria.
We want a good Nigeria.
People that are benefiting at the IOCs. Why? Because they have a tax regime, a royalty regime that was framed over 42 years ago.
Still with Morocco. Surely.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa. Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice. Experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
Now listen. The law is now beyond argument that the effect of a nullification of a thing, not necessarily an election, the effect of nullification of a thing is to completely wipe out, obliterate, remove, undo, erase, or render it ineffective.
Why must Nigerians pay the crime that has been perpetrated by the cabal?
The Bisi Olakilo Show, BOS International.
I think the congregation tonight should be a period for celebration of the incoming, the end of the legal year, the beginning of the legal year. There is a period also for sober reflection.
We have signed into law several legislations whose implementation will help us provide the service delivery that you expect of us and raise the standard of life.
The Bisi Olakilo Show, BOS International.
I'll give you all the finest things in life. You are the angel of my life, the love of my life. I love my baby, that's my baby. I will treat my baby right.
Words all over the world have made the Bisi Olakilo Show, BOS International, the first choice on their TV dials every week. The Bisi Olakilo Show, BOS International.
You
If I'm telling you true, but what I'm telling is true.
Time up. Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African voice.
A very good morning to you. This is Kaakaki, the African voice, and of course it's time for us to look at what the newspapers are telling us on the front pages as headline stories. We start with leadership news this morning and see what they are leading us with. Well, first of all, the major story thriving as the headline story: plan to hike fuel price, and it's coming from the NLC. Says prepare for long battle, NLC tells Jonathan, and that is the major headline story on the leadership newspaper. Plan to hike fuel price, prepare for long battle, NLC tells Jonathan. We have another major story there, is talking and thriving on insecurity. It's coming from the First Lady saying there's plots to discredit my husband, and that is coming from the First Lady. And of course we have riders following that headline story as gunmen kill 2 policemen in Borno, 5 civilians in Kano, Kuka, Sanusi, others tax federal government. And of course wife of the president, Patience Goodluck Jonathan, has alleged that the rising wave of insecurity pervading the land was orchestrated to discredit her husband, and of course by making him look inefficient. Well, if you want that side of the story, it continues on page 5 of the leadership newspaper. And above the masthead we have all the thriving stories, of course, coming. It says how our monthly revenue increased to 100 billion naira, says customs boss. 100 billion naira, and that is coming from the customs boss. And we have insert in that red box, ACM back sacking of Lagos doctors, and that is page 4 as against what we discussed on the interview this morning. Now let's take it to National Mirror, and let's see what they're saying. Mirror, mirror on the wall, and let's see what we find. Workers groan over delayed salaries, and as core members gear up for protest over unpaid allowances, and this is coming from, of course, the National Mirror as the major headline story. And of course this is talking about the delay in the payment of the April salaries by the federal government too, and of course it's brewing discontent among civil servants. And of course the members of the NYSC are talking about unpaid allowances as well. And most of the stories made with headlines yesterday on other newspapers as well. But this morning is still thriving, saying workers groan over delayed salaries as core members gear up for protest over unpaid allowances. Now above the masthead we have this one coming from SIM registration story. Say confusion, hiccups trail 6.1 billion SIM registration project. And of course this is coming from NCC, who is facing palpable hiccups and delay in finalizing work on the harmonization of the subscriber identity module SIM data collected during the registration exercise collected last year. But if you want more of that story, it's on page 5 of National Mirror, and you will find other major stories. And of course we have the one below on the masthead and the major story: 5-year dead as gunmen attack Kano suburb, on page 7. And this is also what we saw in the leadership newspaper. Yoruba leaders doubt identity of Boko Haram kingpin, which is continued on page 2 of National Mirror. And NMA joins Lagos doctor strike, which is on page 5. Newspaper talk about snapping fans of war. But let's see how that goes up towards the following week, this coming week. Daily Sun, and let's look at what they have. Another fuel price hike coming, and this is coming from NLC. That is a major story for Daily Sun, right at the top of the page on the right black insert box, and it's continued on page 2 of Daily Sun newspaper. I'm sure you'll find all the major thriving stories if you buy and look inside the newspaper pages. This Day newspaper, let's look at This Day Today. On the front page, talking about Coast, the major headlines reads, Coast not yet clear for Salami's recall. And this is coming as a major headline major story on this day newspaper this morning. We also have the story of the fuel subsidy claims. Verification begins, and this is against all the drama and all the troubles going on against the probe. And let's see how this unfolds. But please, if you want more inside story, it's this day newspaper on the inside pages. You can find it on page 5 and page 2 consecutively. Let's look at the Nation and see what they bring us, bring the Nation this morning. And we're talking about Salami still is against this newspaper. It's still talking about Jonathan consults on Salami's return is what is making the major headline story this morning. Jonathan consults on Salami's return, and that is what is thriving. And we have another story saying FIRS arrests CEOs for 2.17 billion naira debts, and that is the Nation newspaper. If you want more story on that debt arrest, you can find it Nation newspaper, page 5 and page 2 consecutively. And of course, there are other major thriving stories the Nation newspaper will bring to you. Nigerian Pilot is the next newspaper that we will look at, and it's talking about insecurity this time, and as against Salami's return, and it's talking about Nigeria will not split, and this is coming from Adeboye. Insecurity, Nigeria will not split, and of course, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, senior pastor and the general of the CEO of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, has predicted that the current security challenges will not consume Nigerian polity, and of course, Mike will soon be a thing of the past. We pray and say amen to that. And of course, this is also retreating as Kuka Sanusi cautions leaders, and it's still going on in the front page as a headline story. Insecurity, Nigeria will not split, and Adeboye says that to reiterate that Nigeria, though will face this trouble, but will soon pass the reign of insecurity. We see another major story just below the masthead in that peach box, faces Swam's forgery scandal. CJN summons judge over petition, and that is happening and continuing on page 2 of the Nigerian Pilot. Of course, talking about the chief magistrate Hafsat Soso, who is of course handling the certificate forgery allegation against the Benue State Governor Gabriel Saswan. But you have to go to page 2. I can tell you all of the story. It has to be considered plagiarism. And of course, we have other major thriving story, the FIRS story, and against the Nation newspaper brought to this morning. NABS companies over 2.17 billion naira tax debts, and of course it's continuing on page 2 of the Nigerian Pilot. And we have other stories there, how group urges Igbo traders to invest homeward, which is on page 3, and opposite that we have National Planning Minister urges deaf partners to invest rather than aid, also continued on page 3. People's Daily, let's see what is daily breakfast this morning, and it's talking about the gunmen and of course the killing that happened in Bauchi, Borno and Kano. Says categorically gunmen killed 9 in Bauchi, Borno and Kano State. And of course, we see an inset picture of children and women waiting to be administered with oral polio vaccine yesterday at Ungua, Saraki, Noma, Gamawa, Bauchi State, which is of course is against the terror that is happening in that city and in that state. But of course, it's a harvest of grief. Yes, it was a harvest of grief yesterday in the 3 northern towns of Kano, Azari and Mafa, as gunmen left a trail of blood with 9 people dead. But if you want more stories than that, you can continue on page 2. At both Marcel, we have the anti-labor bill talking this time, and it's saying anti-labor bill, NLC fingers presidency, Nigerian Labour Congress fingers presidency, and it's talking about the caution which has been passed to the president to be wary of the activities of functionaries in his administration, of course, capable of creating avoidable labor and political crisis in the country. Like everybody is saying, does everything have to result to a strike? But let's wait and see what they bring us the coming of this week. We have other major stories. Thriving former Sokoto Deputy Governor Isa Wasago dies, and that is on page 2 of the People's Daily. We also have Jalingo residents defy curfew on page 10. Dangote Sugar posts 4.12 billion naira profit in Q1 on page 22, and gunmen kick boxing medalist in Ujo, page of the People's Daily, and that is coming from the People's Daily this morning. Daily Trust, listen, trust them with bringing us what's happening this morning and see what they've brought us. Well, they're still talking about the death toll, and they're saying here, gunmen kill 15 in Adamawa and 3 poker players killed in Kano State. Gunmen kill 15 in Adamawa, 3 poker players killed in Kano State. that this death of the 15 people includes the policeman as well, and of course some four villages have been burnt, and of course in Lamude local government, and the story goes on and so on and so forth. But you can actually find the story on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Opposite that masthead against the picture, of course, the polio vaccine that is vaccination that is going on in Bauchi State. We have Niger Delta demands 14 more states, and that is what is driving in the People's Daily this morning. Niger Delta demands 14 more states. We just had Imo State bringing a 4th tier of government. Now Niger Delta is talking about demanding 14 more states, and it's coming from the people of Niger Delta who region have filed demands for the creation of 14 additional states to the National Assembly documents. And of course, if you want that story, I'm sure you would want to read, you go to page 5 of Daily Trust newspaper. We have other thriving stories above the masthead. We have, of course, the story on the FIRS, and we have the story of the Inspector General of Police. Says criminal gangs are using police number plates on the vehicles, as we heard in the Pan-African News. And of course, we have the foreign story, and Kano kidnapped, Germany frees jailed Muslim woman on page 4, the Daily Trust newspaper. Now let's go to Vanguard, and still talking about the death toll. It's still talking about the death toll, and gunmen kill 6 policemen in Borno and Zamfara, and that is the Vanguard newspaper. That is the major headline story for the Vanguard newspaper. Now, if you want more inside story for that, as we see, is making most of the front page major headline story for all the newspapers, and even if it's not the major story, it still comes on as a headline, one of the headline stories. So I think it must be quite a read. So if you want to find out your insights on that, you go deep into the newspapers and buy your own copy first before you can actually read it. Let's go over to international news track and see what they bring us this morning. And it's talking about security and stating categorically Boko Haram menace. And this is actually the major front page headline story. Boko Haram menace. Northern elders have lost control, and that is coming as the major story, front page story, and it's continued on page 3. And if you want more insightful read on that, you go to page 3 for that. Boko Haram menace. Northern elders have lost control. Interesting story that has happened in the Eastern Heartland Group Petitions United Nations, which is continued on page 2, and we'll see other thriving stories there. And we see one just below that insert picture of Ike Kweremadu's recently celebrated 47th birthday anniversary, and we see the story reading Untold Story of Yoruba Boko Haram Chief. And that is coming as a last story. It's one of the headline stories on the front page, and it is seen on page 18 if you want the full story from the international news track. Untold Story of Yoruba Boko Haram Chief, and that is coming from international news track. Let's see Blueprint. Blueprint is talking about deportations this morning, and it reads as a major story. It says deportation of Nigerians, reps summon foreign affairs minister, and that is coming from the Blueprint newspaper. As against the other stories that we've been talking about, the bomb blast and bomb blast in Maiduguri, Zamfara, and Kano, as likewise. It still talks about that in a nutshell. It says headline story just below that masthead. Gunmen kill 5 in Kano, Maiduguri, bomb police station, and it's continued on page 6. And still, prepare for pains, Jonathan tells Nigerians, which is continued on page 3. Prepare for pains, Jonathan tells Nigerians. Wow. If you want to know what the pains is talking about or referring to, please you buy Blueprint newspaper and check page 3 of the Blueprint newspaper to find out what he's talking about. Above the masthead, we have interesting other thriving headline stories. Ban on firing, tinted glass still in force on page 5, says the police. And of course, ACN backs Fashola over Dr. Sack on page 10. We will get rid of negative values coming from Chuko, of the chairman of PDP, page 11. Is coming from Blueprint newspaper. Have fresh facts, and let's see all the facts they brought us this morning. And they're talking about governors this time, the major story thriving as headline story, saying how governors can make states richer. And well, this is of course talking about enriching us the states by looking inwards. They say no reason for unemployment, hunger in the states. And another rider leaves no need to depend solely on federal government, following state by state listing of mineral deposits, which is coming from fresh facts. And it states how governors can make states richer. And of course, it's talking about Nigeria continues to be subsumed by poverty and unemployment, yet when they say abundant wealth resides and surrounds us. Well, we have another one in that inset red box, another headline story. FMBN clears pension arrears of 364 million naira, which we see is going to be continued, and it continues on page 32 of the Fresh Facts newspaper. So if you want more, you can go to page 32 of Fresh Facts newspapers. And above the masters, we have that, we'll call it eye catcher, scrap EFCC ICPC questions for governors, and it's on page 7 of Fresh Facts newspaper. And if you must find the stories, you must first buy the newspapers from your local vendors, and of course the prices are right there on the front page. Nigeria Tribune is the last but not the least, and it's talking about still the story making wave coming from NCC, and I'm talking about how MTN, NCC, others cheated Nigeria of 1 trillion naira, and says ex-NITEL chief tells court in the rider petition EFCC ICPC, says fingers cabal members, we will reply soon, says MTN and NCC. And that is Nigerian Tribune. Major story thriving, how MTN, NCC, others cheated Nigeria of 1 trillion naira. But that's what the papers are bringing you this morning. And of course there are more papers. If you want more headlines, to visit your local newspaper vendors and get more of the newspapers. And first of all, you've got to buy them. Now this is Kaakaki, the African Voice. Stay tuned, because we will be right back. Do not go anywhere.
Explore Africa.
Encounter Africa.
Engage Africa.
Enjoy Africa's compelling,
exciting,
and breathtaking
experience
with Kaakaki,
the African Voice.
Okay, very good morning to you. Are you just joining us? Well, I still can say welcome, I guess.
Definitely, definitely.
It's the Monday edition of Kaakaki, the African Voice, and Dora just took us through the papers, and we saw the major headlines, you know, and the front pages, on the front pages of the newspapers.
Yes, definitely. Well, I think what really, there was a story I didn't catch, because I think it would have made quite an interesting read, which was what arrived yesterday in one of the newspapers about, you know, us having 5,000 naira notes and 2,000 naira notes, which might be introduced by the CBN. So, you know, that was quite an interesting, and I thought it would have been nice to bring it up again. But let's
look at that. What do you think? For me, I don't think that is a good idea, considering the economy of the nation at the moment. That's going to, you know, encourage inflation. I don't know the inflation. I'm not a business but I don't know what the inflation level is right now. But whenever there's a bigger denomination
of the notes,
there's
quite an increase in demand. Yes, and you know, I find it worrying, because I'm thinking about Nigeria looking back to when we could use coins to actually trade, you know, like you had 1 naira coin, and although some people say it's a lot of load carrying all of that in the car, and you know, the times are coming up to power, but I believe that, you know, we do have United Kingdom using 1 pence.
Exactly. I was going to just say that
1 cent in America.
Because of the absence of the coin, like goods that are worth just a coin, just maybe a naira or 5 or 50 kobo, are sold for 5 naira.
Definitely.
I believe that if the coin is still being used, it's still, yes, I know it's still a legal tender, but truth be told, no one is interested in using it, especially because there's nothing that they can buy with it.
Definitely, and so now if you look at the acceptance and acceptability rate of even the 20 naira note, now 5 naira note, is almost becoming extinct. People hardly want to carry that. It's almost seen as change. You know, when you even buy pure water, you see them, you want to buy a newspaper, they're like, I do not have change. You see them mostly with 500.
20 naira. No
50 naira note is fast becoming part of that league. So I worry if we have 5,000 naira and 2,000 naira note, where 1,000 naira note, 500,000, 200,000 naira note, the transcending of those notes will start to be
well, like I said, we're not business analysts, but really, I would like to be schooled. Yeah, I'd like to be schooled on that, because I'd like to know how manufacturing a bigger denomination of naira notes will help the economy. Yes, the only thing it can help with is to probably when you're carrying cash. Yes. The denomination is bigger, and so the load is lesser. But then again, we're propagating a cashless society. Definitely. So where does that come in?
Definitely. And you know what, really, some people bother, we're talking about eradicating corruption and fraud. And, I think that will even make it even worse for money launderers. Money laundering will become even more, and you can carry more amounts of millions because the denominations are smaller. So somebody could be carrying 5 million naira on the plane, and you probably wouldn't even know because it's very light. So I think that they should consider the disadvantages to it before.
I agree with you on that. It will make corruption even. You remember when they used to carry Ghana must go bags? Oh yes. Now they don't have to. If they want to carry 20 million, they don't have to carry Ghana must go bags. They just have to carry a small briefcase. If we have bigger denominations like one note in 5,000, that's too much. I don't know if Nigeria is ready for that kind of denomination.
Especially the average Nigerian man who is actually still thriving on the grinding business and all of the small shops. But anyway, we wanted to talk about the ACN joining the Lagos State governor to actually promote the
like I asked Dr. Fabili, maybe the Lagos State government has taken the hard stance it is taken now because the doctors are frustrated